South Park is, to tell you guys the truth, one of my favorite shows. Now, I don't watch it all that much more recently, but growing up, I watched it a lot. And from maybe a bit too young of an age, to tell you guys the truth, but I always found it funny. It certainly played a big part in forming my sense of humor. But more recently, particularly as I've gotten more mature and particularly more progressive, I've found that, well, frankly, I found that South Park has a tendency to miss pretty hard when it tries to do political commentary and social commentary. Sometimes they hit, and when they hit hard, when they get it right. But there's been a lot of cases where they have gotten it embarrassingly, depressingly wrong. And that wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't for the fact that South Park drips with this vibe of smarminess, of smugness, right? Of almost like the people they target for criticism deserve it. You know, it's clear that the creators of the show seem to feel that way when you're watching it. And so seeing the show get real stuck on attacking woke culture, PC culture, and doing so for years now, it kind of turned me off a little bit. They've had some massive dud episodes, akin to way back in the day when they notoriously denied climate change with their Man-Bear-Pig episode. For those that don't know, the fictional beast Man-Bear-Pig is meant to be, their representation of climate change, a parody of it. Of course, later on, they did apologize and walk it back, which I'd like to see. And something very similar to that just recently happened, where Trey Parker and Matt Stone, South Park's creators, went back on a promise they made that they were not going to cover the current administration, the Trump administration, in the next couple seasons because they were tired of it. But then, a new episode aired. The season premiere of the new season aired the other night, 2 nights ago, and quickly it became clear that they were going back on what they'd said in the past. You see, Paramount owns CBS, the network that just recently canceled Stephen Colbert's show, clearly, and everyone can see it, clearly to appease Donald Trump because he's pissed off at the network for political rhetoric and things said about him. And Trump is even suing, and they're kowtowing. And so, South Park decided it's personal now. No longer are they going to vaguely poke at Trump and how silly he is by presenting Trump through a non-Trump character that's kind of like Trump, that being Mr. Garrison. But they wanted to directly shit on Trump. And let me tell you, Trey Parker and Matt Stone can be really, really petty when they want to be. Like childishly petty. And sometimes it's pretty funny, to tell you the truth. In this case, it really was. You see, Trey Parker and Matt Stone now have a grudge out against Trump for clearly throwing his dick around and trying to censor people for criticizing him. And they also want to maybe fuck over Paramount now that they just pocketed a massive payout from them in exchange for 50 more episodes being produced. So they have now dedicated, it would seem, the next season, or 2 seasons I should say, to dunking on Trump and his current administration and supporters. It's going to be really interesting to see how it goes, but just last night I watched the new episode and it was really funny. I'll probably break down what happens in it, or maybe I won't, because we plan to watch party it after stream today, and I don't want to spoil it for people. But I'll talk about some of the highlights, you know? It was really good. It was really funny. It was a taste of old South Park. One thing I will spoil is that they did the, face cutout thing, where they use an actual photo of the celebrity or figure on, a South Park character's body, and have, the head unhinged like a Canadian character, and do, the Canadian voice for them, just like they did for Saddam Hussein. They literally did that for Trump. Trump is basically now the new Saddam Hussein in South Park, considering Saddam Hussein has long since been killed off in the show. It is really, really funny. They went hard. Like, they did not want it to be even slightly ambiguous that they were calling Trump out in front of the whole world. So, as you can imagine, of course Donald Trump watched it. Of course he saw it. Of course he got offended, and of course he responded. It has been quite funny. As you can imagine, Trey Parker and Matt Stone have responded in the absolutely most funny way possible. And I am just enjoying everything as it goes down here. I've got a video here breaking it all down for you guys, and I'm excited to watch this because I've yet to see Trey and Matt's response, but I have seen the White House's response, and it is just as angry as you'd expect.
The small town of South Park, Colorado is protesting against the president. The townspeople claim that the president, who is a great man.
A great man.
Great guy. We know he's probably watching. And we are just reporting on this town in Colorado.
Insane. Insane that CNN is showing this clip as if to, like, communicate to us they hit the nail on the head, guys. This is what's going on. This is what's happening.
That's being sued by the president, and they are fighting back.
And just to be clear, we don't agree with them.
Bit of a shot there at 60 Minutes. South Park season premiere was one for the history books. That episode aired one day before the FCC finally approved the Paramount Skydance merger that has seen lawsuits settled and shows canceled. As for President Trump's opinion on that particular South Park episode.
Okay, can I just say the obvious here? It is insane to me that under capitalism, we all have just agreed that people whose job it is to eviscerate financially viable products and businesses in order to facilitate mergers, tax write-offs, and like golden parachutes for themselves, being like valuable workers more so than like someone who digs ditches, is insane to me. Like, oh yeah, another company merger happened. 5 billion people lost their jobs, and 50 million pieces of beloved art have been vaulted away into lost media and are never allowed to be distributed again for tax purposes. It's like, well, why is this allowed?
I've never watched South Park. I don't know anything about South Park. I never watched it. South Park.
That is almost certainly not true, because Trump has tweeted dozens of times in the past championing South Park for criticizing the left and calling out trans people and stuff like that. So I am pretty certain he is just lying right now. And he's said things in the past that would completely prove that fact.
A White House statement says the show's popularity has hit record lows. In fact,
literally the opposite is true.
South Park is proving to be a very valuable asset as Paramount inked a $1.5 billion deal, to exclusively air South Park on its streaming channel. The creators had this to say about that first episode.
Did you anticipate the reaction today? Have you been following it? What do you make of this?
We're terribly sorry.
Sincerity meter trending towards the low side. My panel back with me now. Brian, I wonder if this is a battle the president actually wants. I mean, South Park, listen, it's irreverent. Sometimes it's too dirty. I don't particularly love my kids watching it, given the language used, but they're taking shots and they're landing.
Yeah, but the president just dismissed him. He doesn't know who South Park is. He doesn't watch it. I think
he knows enough to be talking about it.
I don't know. This has been... I think it's important to point out that South Park has kind of had an insane cultural influence on America, politically and socially. And South Park making a statement like this so blazingly is so out of character for them. Like, they don't typically just drop an episode where they want to scream in your face a very sincere message. The fact that they have done that, and it's on calling out Trump, and it has gotten so much attention, whether Trump dismisses it or not, I think it matters. I think it matters a lot. Everyone is talking about this right now.
right?
Oh, he was asked about it, but yeah, he can be dismissive of all these things. I think what we've learned over the years, and Steve Colbert is the best example, that when you hate half the country, like Steve Colbert did, and these comedians, they literally hate half the country, their comedy's not that funny. And so you might get some people that are going to laugh at it, a small percentage, but the end result is you will get canceled if you're not that funny.
But is that really the issue there? I mean, listen, the president, I think we could say, has thin skin, right? And jokes that used to be leveled at presidents, sometimes irreverent, they just say, forget about it.
Trump has such thin skin, he managed to train his cult to create a term for people who dare to make fun of him. If you make any joke or statement at the expense of Trump, you have Trump derangement syndrome. It is insane to me that making fun of the president of the United States could facilitate derangement in the minds of these people. But that's the narrative they've sown because they're in a cult. They worship the guy.
He doesn't, right? And almost makes them bigger than what they would be otherwise.
Yeah, and the president also used to be a staple of The Late Show when it was David Letterman. He was he was frequently on. He was somebody who really esteemed it. The franchise has grown less favorable to him since he was in office the first time and the second. But the reality is this: the economics are why Colbert is not on the air anymore. And I say that as a huge fan of his for many years. It was a show that was losing reportedly $40 million. They were in the Ed Sullivan Theater, iconic, incredible.
I've heard multiple conservative pundits repeat this $40 million quote, but the Colbert Show was the most viewed show on that day, on that time slot, on their network. It would make sense for them to cancel some stuff, but the Colbert Show, it makes no sense. Especially, they canceled his whole show, not just removing him as the host. They yeeted the whole show. And we already know because of the behind-the-scenes lawsuit nonsense, which is exactly why this episode was made, that it was done to appease Trump. Trump is threatening lawsuits against every media company that dares to tell it how it is about him.
Incredibly expensive, whereas South Park, the LA Times says, is one of the most lucrative television series in the world. This $1.5 billion deal that Paramount inked, you can get away with a lot if you're making money for your shareholders, and that's what South Park's doing.
And particularly in streaming, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where all the attention is in the stock market, and South Park certainly has a following there. I suppose the bigger concern, right, is what other consequences there are for media coverage in general, and that's a concern. That's actually what South Park was taking a shot at 60 Minutes there, right? Molly Ball saying, talking about the various.
They weren't taking a shot at 60 Minutes there. They were very clearly making a joke about how all of the media right now is so terrified of the president suing them for billions of dollars if they say anything about him that's remotely negative or show support for anything that's against him, that you can't find any left-leaning news media that's being straight about it in the mainstream right now. That's literally a big focal point of the episode, is that NPR has gotten defunded and Cartman's pissed because he likes to hear liberals whine. And he's like, I won't stand for it.
Yes. Compromises perhaps CBS has had to make as this Skydance deal was there. I mean, it's not just really about a satirical cartoon that we're talking about.
Sure. I mean, to me, this is not about whether or not South Park is getting under Donald Trump's skin, because, as Brian said, he brushes it off, and plenty of people have made fun of Donald Trump over the years. To me, it's again about the way that this scandal has penetrated the broader culture, and the way it has become a real pop cultural phenomenon, and the way it's being talked about by people who don't care about politics, right? South Park is not primarily a political show, and it's certainly not primarily a left-wing show. It's a show that skewers people across the spectrum, and particularly the idea of political correctness.
Yeah.
And so for them to be sort of bringing these issues on stage, whether it's the media issue or the Epstein scandal, I think shows the degree to which all of this has a resonance that is outside of the traditional audience for this show, frankly.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean...
Well, it's like they're introducing these concepts as something worth caring about to an audience of people that are relatively normie-brained. Caring about politics is something South Park is doing now, and a lot of South Park viewers might start to see caring about politics as cool, which was not exactly a common trait among South Park viewers for quite some time. To be fair, remember the Scientology and Mormonism ones that they did? That shit was headline breaking when they dropped those episodes because it was so scathing. I think the Scientology one is banned, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, though. But the Church of Scientology has a very powerful legal team.
There are first of all, South Park seems to be important enough to Paramount that it's willing to pay $1.5 billion and perhaps keep it on the air. Though I suppose that could change tomorrow. But let's look at what else Skydance agreed to in getting this merger approved. Comprehensive review of CBS, install an ombudsman for complaints of bias, make changes to ensure viewpoint diversity, and eliminate all DEI policies at Paramount.
Yeah. Shit like this, very clearly meant to appease Trump and try to avoid getting sued for billions of dollars, and is exactly why we got this South Park episode. You can't deny it anymore. This is the President of the United States using mob tactics to destroy free speech in the media.
Paramount. I mean, the DEI piece is something we've seen across the board, right? Pressure on universities, for instance, law firms, and now a major media group here. What's your reaction to see that kind of price paid, in effect, for a merger?
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the days when Republicans used to attack Barack Obama for being the imperial presidency, right? He doesn't hold a candle to what we're seeing from the Trump administration now, and their willingness to pull the levers of power to influence every single aspect of our society, to make corporate boardroom decisions when used to be conservatives, good conservatives said we should stay out of the boardroom, to make academic freedom decisions, and doing it in a way that so many companies, so many institutions feel like they have no choice but to bend the knee. And that puts us in a very dangerous problem. But I think Molly's point is right. This is the first time we have seen that be successfully challenged. With this story around Epstein, Donald Trump is a master at changing the subject whenever he wants. And he cannot change the subject on this.
He's right here. This has been one of the main recurring points I've made in my coverage of the Epstein thing. Trump has always been so good at burying these stories that are just impossible wins. He can't pull a win out of it, so he buries it. This is a story that he can't pull a win out of, and he can't bury it. There's been no situation like this in his entire political career up till this point. This is an unprecedented opportunity for a line of attack on Trump politically. We have to take it. We have to make the most of it.
No matter how hard he tries, it is penetrating every aspect of our society. Whether or not he and his team finally find a way to turn the corner, I don't know, but it's the first time I've seen them look shaky in 10 years.
Brian, let me ask you this, though. The politics behind this kind of pressure, I understand. It's there, and the president's arguably fulfilling his campaign promises. But for the business-friendly Republican Party, is this the kind of interference? I mean, this is a business deal. It's a merger for business reasons because they believe they could grow shareholder value, right, et cetera. But DEI, viewpoint diversity, comprehensive review of CBS.
It's very clear appeasement of a fascist, an authoritarian.
News, which is it's a storied, certainly 60 Minutes, a storied brand. Is that the kind of interference you want to see as a Republican in business deals, transactions?
No, I mean, of course not. But I
Of course he's a Republican. I'm guessing the other lady as well, defending the Colbert cancellation, also a Republican.
think what you're seeing is this administration exercise muscle in a way no administration had ever done before.
Is it good, though?
I think in the long run we'll find out. I mean, let's look what they're trying to do. They're trying to end affirmative action in universities. I'm from California. We ended affirmative action nearly 30 years ago, and the universities seemed to thrive. So.
Well, that's not the end of the story, though, is it, buddy? California didn't just end affirmative action. California had a better system than affirmative action that acknowledged its biggest flaws, particularly the fact that affirmative action seemed to have a very unfair advantage for white women that came from fairly well-off situations and thus did not need as much academic support as other groups. I think it also disproportionately benefited wealthy Asian Americans as well, that also were not in a situation where they needed any financial support. And so it wasn't a very efficient system. California came up with a better one and got rid of affirmative action so that their better system could operate instead. Just getting rid of affirmative action is not what California did that caused everything to be all peachy. So, nice try, buddy. But I know that full story.
Yes, ending affirmative action as a corporate policy is probably a good thing. The other thing is, look what they're doing to CBS, trying to add diversity of thought. Right now, if you watch, I mean, I don't watch broadcast television because as a conservative, I'm turned off by there. I only watch cable, that and streaming. Yeah. But there's clearly a gap there in mainstream television that excludes conservatives when you're watching the primetime channels that.
That is insane. Tucker Carlson was the largest, most watched person in America up until recently. Fox News dominates the airwaves. Like, even while they conquer everything, they still cry victim. They're cry bullies. Even while they have conquered every tract of land on the planet, they will still cry that they don't have enough.
This administration thought it's important that there's diversity of things. Those things aren't bad. The news, listen, this network.
You ate my only food. Now I'm going to starve. It's the SpongeBob and Patrick bit with the candy bar, except conservative media.
A lot of networks, they've been guilty of exaggerating the truth on President Trump over the years. They've been wrong many of times. Some people have never been reprimanded for being wrong. And I don't think there's anything wrong with holding the media accountable when they're wrong. And that's what you're going to see in these types of things. And it's not attacking freedom of speech or freedom of press when you tell them they're wrong.
There's some who've been canceled, my question, but I hear you. Do stay with us. Thanks.
I love how they're having to bring Republicans on to CNN now. Otherwise, Trump will sue the network and shut it down. I think it's worth pointing out, by the way, this scene from the South Park episode is what this entire segment opened on.
The small town of South Park, Colorado is protesting against the president. The townspeople claim that the president, who is a great man.
A great man.
Great guy. We know he's probably watching. And we are just reporting on this town in Colorado that's being sued by the president, and they are fighting back.
And just to be clear, we don't agree with them.
Now, to be clear, in the context of the episode, the town of South Park is a stand-in for the show South Park. So the meta commentary there is them predicting how the media will cover the episode before it came out. That the media would be afraid to throw full support behind it, and they do basically this very, like, Trump's a great guy. We know he's probably watching, but, this show, it's like, it is really fucking good. We gotta watch that. Well, I mean, we will be watching it after stream. We'll be doing a watch party. It was indeed very hilarious, Jennifer Silowski. It was indeed. So, Donald Trump and the White House are malding big time about it, calling it fourth grade humor, saying that South Park is irrelevant, even though it is, I believe, at its absolute peak. And to say, for a show like South Park to be at its peak means the peak is very high. Things are going well for them. And the White House is big time malding, and Trump is too. Him pretending like he hasn't seen it is really funny. There's no way that he didn't watch it. He's so vain. He has to hear people talk about him. The Quartering, Yellow Flash, and Nerdrotic are coping hard, Zan. Oh, man. Hold on. Can we bring up an example here? I've seen some of this on Twitter with the right-wing meme posters. One moment, chat. Okay, so let's look at some of the Quartering's coverage of South Park in the past. South Park hit with $100 million lawsuit from Rachel Ziegler, and it might destroy YouTube. South Park held hostage and fans rage as journos blame Trump for it. He's always been very much like, haha, South Park is epically owning the left. But if we look at his current coverage...
Alex Jones.
If we look at his current coverage... South Park bans politics after Trump episode. Coping. South Park blasts Trump and woke left pretend the right is triggered. He's fucking angry. Like, literally a few days ago, he was glazing South Park and telling people where they can watch it. The next day, Trump gets nuked by South Park, and he's got to cope now. Dude, look how much slop this dude uploads. Jesus Christ. Oh my lord. Do I have to start uploading 5 times a day to keep up with the current algorithmic meta now? Jesus. Oh my lord. Good God. Stop the slop? I don't know. YouTube doesn't seem to want the slop to stop. YouTube's all about their slop tops. They won't let it drop. Now I gotta hop on my crops so they pop like a rock. Bars. I'm not a rapper, though. I'm not a rapper. You know, it comes out naturally. Anyway, folks, if you guys enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then please leave a comment and a like down below. They're totally free to drop on my content, whether you're watching live or after the fact, and they really, really do help. In fact, every single like and every single comment is like a zap in the algorithm, forcing YouTube to push my content out to more people. So I really do appreciate every single one of you who isn't a lurker, but becomes a liker instead. And so, on top of that, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon and turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, be sure to follow my social medias linked down below, particularly my fan Discord, as that's where I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights every week on Fridays, including tonight, where I'll be hosting a movie night in my Discord right after stream, and I hope to see all of you guys there. Make sure you join the Discord through the link down below, like I said, if you don't want to miss anything. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to someone else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.